Hey guys, welcome back. This is Naveen from UiBrains Technologies, and today I came with a new video and a new example on React.js. So this is actually called as a contact manager application. So here you can create a new contact and you can edit the contact, you can view the contact, you can delete the contact. Like you can completely maintain all of your contacts in this application. Okay, so this application will help you to maintain all your contacts. Okay, it can be a number of contacts. It's keep storing of it and you can maintain them. It's like you can change the mobile number, you can change the picture, and you can delete the contact if you don't want, and also you can categorize it. Okay, there are some group option is there, if the contact is of colleague or a contact of a office or your family or friends or social media friend, like that. Okay, so there are even categorizes like that. Okay, so let's have a look about this application and then we're gonna start developing of it. Okay, so when you see this is the outline, guys. Um, so here I'll be using Bootstrap as a front end. Okay, so because last video we understand about Bootstrap 5 crash course, right? The same Bootstrap 5 I'm using here as a front end with React.js. Okay, and here I'm using React.js with the JavaScript language. Okay, so this is the first page, and if you want to create a new contact, you can just click on a new button. Okay, here is a new button, and you want to search for anybody. This is the search button, and then all contacts will display like this. So we already have four contacts. You want to create a new contact, just click on new button, and I say something called Rajan. One second, do we have Rajan already? I think it's not there. Yeah, so I'll say Rajan and the photo URL. So generally photo URL, it's simple. You just need to get your Facebook profile or anything. Okay, some URL of your photo and you can upload. So let me just take copy image address and I'll paste it, and okay, and his some mobile number and then his email rajan@gmail.com and company HCL Technology, something like that. And what is his title? Some software engineer. And which group you wanted to him? He is actually colleague. Okay, so he's a colleague or friend or family. You can categorize like that. He's a colleague and click on create. So as soon as you click on create, see the contact has been added with the photo which you have uploaded. Okay, Rajan and all this. So you want to see this Rajan's data. There are three options here: view, edit, and delete. So if you want to view, because here in this main homepage, you can see only few details like name, email, and mobile number. But if you want to see the complete details, like his company and full details, like who is that relationship and all, just click on a view. So if I click on view, you can also see the nice spinner. Okay, and his photo and his details like name, mobile number, company, and group is colleague. Okay, and this is like you can view his contact and click on back button, so it's back to this page again. And if you want to update this Rajan's mobile number, you can just click on edit one. If I click on edit, so this is the edit contact or update contact. So here you can change the picture also. For example, you want to change the Rajan's picture to something else. You can choose it from online. For example, this one I want to change. So I can copy the address and I can simply paste it here. So image has been changed. So let's change this number, some 908918 something something like that. Okay, and then click on update. So it's been updated. You can see Rajan's picture has changed and mobile number also has changed. Okay, this is called update. And also you can delete a contact. Okay, if you don't want this contact anymore, you can delete as well. So as soon as I click on delete, that contact has been gone. Okay, so this is, it means you can create a contact, you can view the contact, you can update the contact, and you can also delete the contact. You can completely maintain. And also, as of now, we have just four contacts here, and in future you'll be having more number of contacts. And for those contacts, you want to have a search. So how you can make a search is we have made a search box. So for this, I'll say some A D like this. See, if I say AD, so Brad is having AD, and this guy also have a AD. we got it. Okay, so ADE, so Vladin has come here. Okay, if I delete, you get everybody. Okay, so BR is a Brad, NA is my name. Okay, like that. So you can even have a search. So this is a simple application which is having complete backend also. We'll be using Json-server as a backend, and where we will maintain data. Okay, so here you will learn almost every concept, like how to make the routing and how to make a search. And here we'll be using the React functional components, and front end is Bootstrap we use. Okay, and also how to handle the form data and how to redirect between the pages. Okay, and how to maintain the application state and everything. Okay, so we're gonna start these things now. Okay, so let's start the actual setup, and then we'll start one by one. Okay, so thank you so much. All right. So let's create a folder structure, and then we'll start with the application. So where do I create a folder structure is I go to either you can create on desktop, or else you can go inside any of your directory structure. So let me create inside UiBrains YouTube. Yeah, here I want to create it. So how you create is there is a command npx create react app and your application name. Okay, this is your application name. So I'll create my application name as something called contact hyphen manager. Okay, this is my application name, and this is the package, and this is to install. So let's copy this path, and we have to execute this particular command exactly where you want to create a project. So let's copy the path. Let me open a command line. So this is in C drive, but I want to go to I drive. So I say cd space my address, enter. Now again in C drive, so I colon enter. So now it's went to this location, CLS for clear screen, and then let's paste my command. The command is this one, contact manager. So before you proceed, I hope you know this, right? So before you proceed with the creation, you must have installed Node.js in your system. Okay. So just go to Node.js official website and try to start using, install Node.js, and then you can make this setup. Okay. So this requires Node.js to be installed in your system. So let's copy the path and go here, and then I'll paste it, enter. Okay, so now it is trying to download all the required things from online and try to install in your system. Okay, so it is now creating your React.js application. So make sure you have a proper internet connection so that it will download all the required files for the basic React.js setup. Okay, from online. So make sure you have a proper internet connection or have connected. So now it's going on. So you need to wait for a few seconds for make this setup to happen. Okay. Okay. So now the folder structure and all has created, and at finally you get this one success, and you got created. So now what I do is let me load this to the editor, and then we'll start the server and see. Okay. So when I go to the folder structure now, so here it is contact manager, and we have everything ready. And let me load this on my editor. You can choose any of the editor. I'll be using WebStorm, and you can use VS Code or anything else. Okay. Um, Come on, I think it's still loading. Okay. So when you see this, come on. Okay. So it's been loaded to editor, and just for time being, let me start my server. npm start. Okay, so that will start on the port number 3000. So let's see how is that really successfully created or not. Okay, so let's wait for this to start. Yeah, it been started. Okay, I think successful. Yeah, so it is started. So I got the basic React.js project ready. Okay, so now what I do is, so I want to remove this content. I don't need this one because I have to make my own application like this. This is a design document, okay, with all the screenshots. Okay, so I have to clear this. Let me go to src app.js. Yeah, in the app.js I have all this. First let me change this ESLint disable. Okay, fine. So now I remove this header. Okay, and save it. So now when I refresh, I have it, and let's change this to something called h2 app component. Okay, I got the app component, and I don't need to have this center because styles applied from app.css. I don't need any of the style applied. Let me delete everything from app.css. Let's clean up, and I don't need to use any logo. I deleted. Okay, so that's fine. And now, okay, it says that JSX without importing React. Oh, okay. So I have to import React.js from React library. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so I got app component, and that's fine, but still there are some font it is using. Okay, but not in app.css. This may be index.css. Yes, they are using some this font. I don't need any of this font. I delete from I clear the index.css also. So this will be your global style sheet. Okay, fine. So application cleanup is done. Now the next step is we are going to install Bootstrap. Okay, so how we install Bootstrap is using npm. So let me go to Google and search for Bootstrap npm. Okay, so the Bootstrap npm, yeah, this one, this is the current version 5.1.3 as of today. So this is the command. Let me copy. So where do you execute that is you can go to the terminal window. Let's open a new terminal. So exactly in a project location, just make the command npm install or I. Okay, so Bootstrap, enter. So this will install the Bootstrap because we don't want to write complete CSS by ourselves because we'll be start using Bootstrap library for this. Okay, so that's I'm installing now. Yeah, it's done. So Bootstrap 5.1.3 has come. Along with that, along with the Bootstrap, I want to use the font awesome icons. Okay, okay. The command of Bootstrap is this one: npm install Bootstrap. Okay, for font awesome, there is another npm. You can search for it fort awesome npm. Come on, yeah. So at font awesome free 5.15.4. Yeah, this is the command. Copy. I'll make it here. And also let's install back to our editor and paste it. Enter. Okay. So this will install the font awesome icons. You may use the Bootstrap icons or you can your choice. Okay. So here I'll be using a font awesome icons. Okay, because here these icons, right? The I symbol and all these are all icons. So I'll be using font awesome for that. Okay, so font awesome also has been installed. One last step you need to have is you need to first connect font awesome CDN link to HTML page. Okay, so you need to connect the CDN link. You will get the CDN link online. There is something a website called um, Ajax font awesome link. You type. Yeah, this is one. cdnjs.com is a website where you can find all the links. So I'm looking for 5.15.4. Okay, so you got this one all.min.css. Let me copy the link tag. And where do you add the link tag is you go to in public there is a index.html somewhere the link you can add this one. Okay, Yeah. So font awesome link is added, and after that you have to configure Bootstrap and font awesome icons. Okay. So how you configure Bootstrap is you need to connect because Bootstrap means you need to connect one CSS file and one JavaScript file, and for font awesome also you need to connect one CSS file. So I'll show you the path where we have it and where you have to connect. So simply you have to connect these files in a index.js. This is the startup file for a React project. So I go to index.js. Yeah, in this I'll add a comment for font awesome icons. Okay, so import from where node underscore modules. I think it's dot slash. Oh no, this one. Oh, where is this index.js? Index.js in src, right? So, but node is outside. Oh, okay, okay. So you said dot dot slash node modules slash. Where is that font awesome? So it font awesome slash font awesome slash css slash all dot css. That is your font awesome css. And also let's connect a bootstrap files. So I'll be using bootstrap 5.1. Okay. So import again dot dot slash node underscore modules slash bootstrap slash dist slash css slash bootstrap dot you have bootstrap dot css. Okay, and also you can connect the javascript. So import dot dot slash node modules slash bootstrap slash dist slash javascript slash bootstrap dot bundle dot js. Okay, and .js not required, just say bootstrap.bundle. Okay, so this is the setup. I repeat again, you need to install bootstrap with this command and install font awesome with this command. After that you connect the cdn link in html page, that is in our index.html. this cdn link I have added, and after that index.js you connect font awesome icons, and also you connect the bootstrap. So that's it. So bootstrap and font awesome icon setup is ready. If you want to test it, go to app.js because this content is coming from here. Okay, so to test I'll do one thing. I'll make a button. I'll make a button with a class name, something called btn minus success, and let's say hello. Okay, so I written a button with the class name hello. Now when I refresh I get the hello button. Okay, so it means uh, bootstrap has configured, but one last thing is the button doesn't have any space between them. You may add mr or like my something like that. My sorry, mr I'll take m no m and okay, okay, it is, yes, sorry, it is bootstrap 5, right? So me and okay, so bootstrap configured because we got the styles, and also you can check for icons. For example, here I say I tag, okay, with the class name, say something called fa minus so home. Okay, I got a home icon. So it means Bootstrap and Font Awesome has successfully configured. So now let's start with the actual project setup. Okay, so I don't need this. Okay, so once you're done with this, the next step is we have to install two other packages. One is Axios and also React Router DOM. Okay, why we need Axios setup is because we have to call the backend server for fetching data, right? So to make the backend connection with React application, we want this Axios, and we need React Router DOM also to make the routing happen, like back and forth links and all. We need this package. So these two are extra libraries you have to install. So how we install Axios is for server connections. They say npm install Axios. Okay, and after that react router dom. So this is again npm install react router dom. That's all. Okay, so let's install them. So I go to the another terminal. Let's say npm install Axios. Okay, so Axios has been installed. So next step is cls npm install react router dom. Okay, so this is for making the routing system in enable in React.js. Okay, so we got React router 6. So previously it was React router 5, and from now it is React router 6. Small changes are there in router configuration, but when we start actually doing router configuration, I'll tell you the differences, right? So React router DOM 6 it is. Okay, so fine. Now we are done with, I guess, all the setup of installation. Okay, that's fine. So now what we do is just installation, nothing, no configuration for them. So once it is done, you can confirm in package.json. In package.json, you confirm see Axios is there, Bootstrap is there, Font Awesome is there, and React Router DOM is also there. Okay, these four packages have successfully installed in your system or in application. Okay, so now let's focus on uh, I mean components creation, services creation. Okay, all right. So I will start with the folder structures now. So the plan is let's delete them. Yeah. So we need few components and services. Okay, what components required is we need one navbar. Okay, because when you see here we have a navbar and we have contact list. Okay, and then view contact and then we need edit contact and also create contact. Okay, or just say add contact. Okay, this is to display the list of all the contacts and to view the contact information, edit and add contact, and this is just navbar. Okay, that's all. And for services just say some contact service, okay, to make server calls and all. Okay, so let's go to the folder structure. src, I will create a new folder called components, and I create another folder called services. Okay, so in components I create a folder called navbar. Okay, and I create another folder called contact list, or you can do one thing. So I create a folder called contacts or contact app, right? So contacts folder, it's like your module. So in that I'll say contact list. Okay, you can keep all the things in one folder. Okay, so contact list and add contact and then edit contact and then view contact. Okay, fine. Now let's create the React component. So in navbar, I'll start with JavaScript. Just say navbar.jsx. Okay, so I'll be using a functional components here. So let's import React.js from React and let navbar is equal to a function. Okay, so it returns something that is I use react.fragment. Some people use empty brackets also, but I just use like this and export default navbar. Sorry, navbar. And let's have a heading. Just make for confirmation. This is navbar. Okay. So navbar component is ready. Let's make all the components with the basic setup. So let's copy this guy and paste in add contact. Name is add contact. So I replace in the navbar with add contact. Okay, fine. And next I'll paste it in contactless, and I'll change this to contactless. Okay, fine. Next I'll paste in edit contact, and I replace the name with edit contact. Okay, done. Lastly, I paste it. This is for view contact, and I'll change this to view contact. Okay, done. So all this components has been ready. So now let's start with a router configuration. Okay, the way you start router configuration is in your app.js. Okay, here. So generally what happens is here we are using React Router 6, right? One second. See, we are using React Router DOM 6 version, so slight different for router configuration of React Router. So the very first step is you go to you go to index.js. Index.js. You have to surround the browser router in the app. Okay, it means here import browser router from React Router DOM, and you have to keep this browser router to be surrounded with app. Okay, so this is the first step. Index.js, the browser router you have to surround with this, and then jump into app.js. So here you make all the routers configuration. Okay, so first of all I don't need h2, and I just make this as react dot fragment, and this is also react dot fragment. I don't need this normal application. It is going to be, I mean, this is normal function, so I'll say let app is equal to, I just convert it to arrow function because I'm using all arrow functions. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And let's check. No issue. Okay, so here I'll configure. So how I configure is, let's import the router things. Import something from React router DOM. Yeah, here previously we were importing switch and root, right? But there is no switch from React router 6. There is root, roots, roots and root. Okay, and now here I'll say first I'll connect the navbar because navbar doesn't require any routing. In that roots, previously it was switch. Okay, in router 5 version. Yeah, in that root. Okay, so in this root path, so path will be slash. Okay, and this path I'll give another one, path contacts slash list. Okay, so here you need to give the component. Previously it was component, now it's changed to element. So element you have to give the tag itself. So what is my tag is contact list. Okay, fine. So contact list, I display the list of contacts. But what about for empty slash? Generally you can display a home page for the empty slash, but for me home page also the same this thing only. So what I do is when I make a empty request, it will redirect to this path. So what I do is for redirection we have another one, that is navigate tag. Okay, so let's say element, in that I'll use navigate to I'll say what, navigate to contacts, sorry, slash contacts slash list. Okay, generally you redirect in React router 6 is like this, navigate tag, redirect to this one. So whenever you enter slash also automatically redirect to this path, and this component will get loaded. You want to test this out? See, I just make it empty slash and enter, but automatically redirected to contact list. Okay, and contact list has display. Okay, same way I'll say contact slash add. So this will be add contact, and this will be view slash colon contact ID to view the contact, the particular contact I want to view. So I'm just passing a contact ID as a dynamic parameter. So here view contact, and same way this is edit slash contact ID. So this is going to be edit contact. Okay, so fine, I have contact list, add, and all. Okay, so router configuration is done. Okay, so you can test also. So when I say slash add, you get the add contact. When I say view slash some number, you get the view contact, and in the place of this I'll say edit, I get some edit contact. Okay, that way. So that's fine. Yeah, so let's make it empty back, contact list. Yeah, so this setup is done, and then now let's start with the actual components creation. All right, so now let's start with a navbar and then contact list. So first I go to navbar. So here we'll be using a Bootstrap. So I already have the a design document. So let's start with this part. Now here I will do is, let's start with nav tag with a class called navbar, navbar dark and bg dark, and also navbar expand sm. So one container. So in that an anchor tag. So instead of anchor tag, you can go with the link tag. Okay. So I will make link tag. Okay, especially from React Router DOM. So link tag link to what? Link to empty slash, and then class name. Class name is Navbar brand. Okay, it's a brand name, and then let's say contact contact manager. Okay, yeah, I got a navbar, and you want to have some icon over here. So let me use the icon. So in front of contact manager, I tag with the class FA something called mobile. Okay, and you want to give a color. Let's say something called text warning color, and for manager, you want to have some color manager with the class called text again warning. Okay, yeah, so this will be your navbar, and then now let's jump into the contact list, because I need to have a below this navbar I have a contact list with phone directory, this button and search and all these cards. So let's make a basic design, and then we'll start with actual code, actual data from server. Okay, um, this is fine. Now let's jump into contact list. So this is the contact list display here. So what I do is, I'll write first section. I'll give the class called contact search. In this one container, one grid, one row, single column. So the first column I want phone directory and the button. So let's say p.h3, something called I just say contact manager, and along with this I have a link. Okay, so because when I click on this button, it should go to the create new contact page. Okay, so create new contact page we have configured with this one, add contact. So contact slash add. So it's supposed to go to this particular path. So what I do is, let me import something that's called link from React Router DOM. So let's add a link here, capital. So link to the one which we have configured in app.js, the contact slash add. So let's add contact slash add, and then you want to specify any class name for the button. So a class name, it's a blue color button, it's a btn minus primary button. Let's say something called new. Okay, So you will be getting this contact manager. Let's some space, just add some new. Okay, it's not there. You can do one thing, ms2, like start from this one. You also need some icon inside the button, so I'll add itag btn btn minus, oh, not a button, sorry, it's a font awesome, fea plus circle. Okay, and some me2. Okay, some space. Okay, that's fine. But this one, there should be some margin top and all. So I'll add here for margin, all the sides is 5 you write, or else you do one thing, just say P5, this padding. Okay, or I'll just say P3. Okay, fine. Now under that you have some text, so a paragraph with a class called font weight bold. No, it's a font style italic, some lorem 30 tab. Okay, and under that you have one a search box. Okay, you have a form actually. So I can do one thing. I'll just take another row. Just call MD, I guess 6. In that I have a form. So let's say MB2. Let's say input type is equal to text and the class is form control. It's just simple Bootstrap classes. Okay. Placeholder search names. Okay, and another MB2. Let's take a button. You can take input type equal to submit, and the class name is a button. So btn minus outline dark, and the value goes to be search. Okay, so you check, it'll be like this. But I need these to be side by side. So for that, what you do is in this a form, right? In that first column, second column, you write. Okay, so form with a class name called row. Okay, so in that first column is this guy, and the second column is this guy. Okay, in the row, two columns like that. So side by side, you have a data. Fine, I have a search box as well, but still there is some background color for the whole body tag. So you wanna have it. I guess it will be. Wait, let me go to index.css. Yeah, here we need to add. The one more thing is here I'm using some other font. Okay, this is actually a Ubuntu font. If you want to add that type of fonts, you can Google search Google fonts. Okay, so here you can search for Ubuntu. You get this. You can select it, and at the right side you get this. And let's select the import statement and copy back to here. I'll paste it. Okay, so that for the whole body tag, I'll apply my font, that is Ubuntu font, for the whole body tag. So what happens? It will change it. Yes, I got. It's not changed. You can do one thing. It's important. Okay, it's been changed to, yeah, this font. That's fine. But what about the background color? Background color is something um, orange. It's not actually orange. 1 second, let me lighten. Yeah, I think this color. Copy. Okay, so this is the color. Okay, I guess that's the color. Even more lighten, you can make it. For example, I can pick up the pickup from here. You can go to color picker and even lighten somewhat. Yeah, triple E 8E4. Okay, back here and paste it. Okay, somewhat lighten. Yeah, that looks good. And under that, we need to have these cards. Okay, so there's 6 column layout, and we have a card and these icons. Okay, so back to contact list. So after this, another section. So this will be the class name. I'll be contact hyphen list, the list of contacts to be display, and one container, one row, call MD6. Okay, I mean the first half of your page, one card. In that card body, so you get like this type of card, and for this card you have one image and this. Okay, so I'll do like call MD, it's 4, and call MD, it's 7, and lastly call MD, it's 1. So 4 plus 7 plus 1 is 12. Okay, so 4 column I want to have an image. Let me grab some online image. So just say user icon PNG. You can search for this type of images. So I'll just get one image. There's something, this one, copy image address. I'll keep here just for time being. Okay, we'll change it with actual text later. So uh, let's check. It's very big image. You can just say class name image fluid. It fits there, but still I because in online when you have a image address, right, so that image address will have different type of sizes, but I want to have a unique size for every contact image and with something, rounded background. So for that what I do is for each here, so something called contact img, I'll give a class name. So for this I'll give my own styles. Okay, so let's say contact img, just say width some 200 pixels, and the height is 200 pixels, and also border radius some 50%, so that everything will be rounded. Okay, fine. I think this image fluid you can remove because it was fixed in size. Okay, and this side I need to have the list of items and then the buttons. Okay, so here the other column, here I say ul li. So this ul I have class name, this group, and this li, I'll give the class called this group item, and this group item action for a hover, and here I'll say the name, some span tag because it is in bold text. uh, let's say give the class font weight bold, so let's say something called Rajan. Okay, why display here, I should be side by side, right? I think I missed the row. Okay, get all this first row and then this row and then column, right? I forgot the row actually. Okay, that's fine. Name is there, and then what else? Name, mobile number, and then email. Okay, so mobile number, some dummy number I'll give, and email at gmail.com. Okay, some dummy data as of now. I have to keep them at the same level in the row. So that will be for the row, you can just say align item center. It comes in center. I think that's fine. Anything else you want to make? Yeah, we need to have 3 buttons also on this side. So let's take buttons. Those buttons are actually a links because when I click on view, it should go to view contact. click on edit, it should go to the edit contact, and delete is just a button. So I'll say link tag. Okay, so link tag with a class name. So let's say btn minus warning. So link to what? So link to, I wanna shift it to where app.js. Yeah, so it should be view contact, should be this path. Okay, so I'll go back to the contact list. I'll make this path, but I'll just make it as a backtick. So as of now, this will be some ID. ID we don't have now, right? Let's say okay, just keep as it is. Okay, and then I'll have here no text and icon. I tag the class FA minus. What is that? I. Okay, I. So you get the I symbol. Okay. The same way you have multiple things. So this will be edit. This is FA minus pen icon, and this is will be just a button, nothing to go anywhere. It's just normal a button. So this will be FA minus trash. Okay. So this is BTN primary, and this is BTN danger. Okay, it like this, but I have to give some spaces. Okay, so I can give a class called deflex and flex column. All right, so let's fix this actually. Yeah, so let's give some for this row, right? This entire one second. Yeah, so this entire row I will make some arrangement to fix everything. Uh, Before that, yeah, here deflex flex column, right? Yeah, I say align items center. It comes in center, but I have to give a space between them. I mean, just top and bottom. So I'll give here my2, yeah, or I'll just my1. Okay, top and bottom, some space. Okay, looks good. But finally, you also add at this row deflex some justify content around. So around them some space. Okay, that looks good. And lastly, this to be a font weight bold, right? This guy, let's say font weight bold. Okay, so fine. Oh, we are finished with this part. Okay, so that's fine. What else we do? Yeah, we also check the links. When I click on this new, it's been gone to add contact. Okay, and when I click on this view button, it's been gone to view contact. When I click on this edit button, it's been gone to edit contact, and delete, nothing to go anywhere. It just delete the contact from this page itself. Okay, that's fine. Now let's also finish off these pages like add contact and view contact so that we can quickly start with the actual data. So let's click on new contact. So add contact. So it should be looks like this. Add contact. Let me zoom in. Yeah, add contact. Let's make this part. Go to add contact. Here I say, because when when you make the design completely, then it will be easy for us to integrate the actual data. So quickly dot let's take one section then. Okay, section with a class name what add hyphen contact, one container, one row, one single column. Yeah, so p dot h3 create contact in a what color, text text success, and you wish you can also add a bold, font weight bold. And also let's have some paragraph with a class called font style italic and some lorem 30 tab. Okay, that's your heading. Let's check. Okay, but no space around it, so you can add some p3. Okay, and then I think it's not h3. Let's make some h4, so it's small one. Okay, and you have a form with these two. So can I have another row? Yep, another row. Call MD. It's for column layout. One form, margin bottom 2, one input. I say type text class form control. Let's play the placeholder will be what? Name. Okay, like this I have 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 1, 7. So copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you get like this all. Now this will be, let me quickly check, photo URL, mobile email, company title. So it's photo URL is text only. So let's say photo URL, and this will be email, let's say mobile number. This will be a number, and this is email. So it's a email, and the company name. Okay, and let's say the company name text only, and say title is also text. What else? Company title and the group. Okay, which group you want to add? So group will be a select box. Let's add a select with a uh, class called form control. Let's have an option. Let's say select a group. Fine. So I don't anything like this. So lastly, this will be a submit button. Submit button. So here I have PTN minus success, and let's say the value will be add contact or just say create. Okay, so I have another button for cancel. So cancel is a link which when you click on it, it will redirect back to here. So what is this path? This path is that page path is contact slash list. So I'll redirect to this page. So what I do is in add contact, I also add uh, beside to this, I'll add a link. I think link is not important. Okay, so let's import link. So what I write here is link. I guess let's like this. Yeah, link is close text link to this path. Okay, and you wish you can add a button. Class name will be btn minus dark, some dark color, close button. Yeah, fine, but there is no space between them. You can just say ms2 margin start 2. Okay, some space. Okay, fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, all the 7 uh, things has come. That's fine. Next, we are done with this. If I click on close, it's not close actually. I think it's cancel, right? Yeah, new, cancel. Yeah, fine. Uh, it's okay. What about the edit? Edit also almost same like this part, but right side you have image. So why can't I do that? So can I copy this whole React fragment? Okay, I'll go to edit contact. I'll just replace over here. Okay, and then when I click on edit, it looks like view. I need to have edit contact color. So text primary, and lastly everything is fine, but the button. So btn hyphen primary. Oh, no, not that one. The create one. btn minus primary. Okay, it's not create. It's gonna be update. Okay, that's fine. And right side you have image also, right? Right side is a sense, this is how many columns? Four columns, right? So I'll say call MD6. Let's have dummy image as of now. Do we have it? Yes. I'll just have a dummy image as of now. I'll give a class called mgfluid. Yeah, oh, it's been like this. See, that's the problem. So can I say the class called, what was that? Contact img. It fits. I think that's fine. One last thing for the row is align item center. It comes in center. That's all. Okay. So you have this page, add contact page, edit contact page. Fine. Last one page is static page. We have to make view contact. So view contact, yeah, this one looks like this. Okay. So can I go to view contact? So in this, I'll add a section. Okay. Section with a class called, what is a class? Mm, Simple view contact. Okay. In this one container, one row, a single column. Don't we have view contact or something? Yeah, we'll add now. Okay, so p.h3, something called text view, something new now. Text warning, view contact, and a paragraph with a class called um, font style italic. Just say lorem 30 tab. Yeah, view contact, something like this you get. And uh, P3 for padding. Okay, so view contact, this looks good actually. But font weight bold. Okay, and then we need to have a this one like image, and this side is content. Okay, so I'll take another row or another section. Let's say view contact intro. This is view to contact intro section. I'll add another section, a separate partition, class call view contact. This is actual view contact. Okay, and margin top 3, something like that. Container one row, call md for column layout for image, and call md some just 6 column layout for the data, or else you can just say call md 8. Under that, another row, single column, and you have a link. Don't we have a link? So let's say import the link from router DOM. So this link to back to the page. Link to I want to shift back to where? Contact list. Copy, uh, paste it. Oh, okay. So let's say back button. I'll say here the class name is equal to btn minus warning. Okay. So there will be a back button. Okay, we have a back button. So before the back button, we need to have an image and all. So let's have img dummy image now. Let me grab this again, the same image, copy image address. So let's have it, and also give a class name contact image again. I want to just maintain a same size. Okay, so right side you need to have data will be like ul li. Actually we have done that, right? Like this data should be like this same, like the front page, this ul. Okay, can we have that? So I go to contact list, somewhere we had uh, yeah, this one, this ul tag. I'll copy the ul tag. I'll keep it in this directly so that it will be easy for us. Yeah, now check once. Yeah, I got it. Something more than that. So I also have, okay, email, company, what's his company and title, and what else? His group, which group he belongs to, right? One, two, three, four, five, six. Something is missing. Wait a minute. Something was missing. Company, title, group, one, two, three, four, five, six. Six only. Here, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Oh, photo URL. Oh, okay, okay. We have photo already here, right? That's fine. Yeah. Just say align item center. Okay. Looks perfect. Yeah. And these and all, don't worry because it's a dummy data. We'll change that. Okay. So now when you see, if you want to, even more clarification, let's have one more card over here so that it will be looks perfectly. So for example, I just copy this call MD6, the card, and I'll paste it. Okay, just for dummy. Yeah. Okay, fine. So now we had a complete design. So when you recap, so we had a navbar, we had this one search box and the add button. You get the add page and the search box. View contact has design, edit contact has design, and delete is nothing has made as of now. Just leave it like that. Okay, so our application basic structure ready. So now we need to fetch data from the backend. So before I fetch data from the backend, let's make the backend setup. I just use a JSON server. So once that is finished, and then we'll connect to this application for fetching data. Okay, so let's see JSON server. All right. So now we have done with the front end part, and now we need to understand the back end part. Okay. So generally, if you develop any full stack application which have a front end as well as a back end. Okay. So for our application, you can choose Node.js as a backend or a Spring Boot as a backend or something else also we can use. Okay. I thought of making Node.js or Express.js with MongoDB as a backend, but it 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 increases the length of the video. Okay, and most of the people maybe not sure about backend node and all this. Okay, so at least for this application I want to show something else as a backend. Okay, so we have an alternate for this backend is um, we can have one JSON file. Okay, and by using JSON server. Okay, so JSON server is one Node.js package and which act as a backend server and which allows us to maintain the complete backend API. Okay, actually for full stack developer you should know React.js as well as backend technologies, but here I just wanted to focus only on a React, not on the backend technology. So I'll use another alternate called a JSON server. Okay, so let's make a JSON server setup. So in the place of database, generally we have a database like MySQL or MongoDB database to maintain your data, but in this application I want to use a JSON file itself. Okay, you have a JSON file and there only will insert and update everything will happen by using JSON server, uh, a node package manager. Okay, it's a node module. Okay, so let's see this setup and also test the backend API and then we'll come back and see this. Okay, so how you make this JSON server setup is first thing you need to have is you need to create one file that is db.json file. Okay, because the entire application's data will be inside of this db.json. Every insertion happen, update happen, whatever activity will happen in the application, it updates in this file. This will become like a your database file. Okay, so you have to create this file db.json, um, and then make the server setup. So I'll show you how to make the server setup. So back to our application. So I'll close all. Let's focus on the backend part now. Here I will create a folder called server. Okay, so in the server I'll create one package.json. Okay, I have to create a package.json. Why package.json? If you want to install any Node.js package, you must have a package.json. Same like you have, React.js also we have a package.json, right? So which contains all the modules which we are using in the application. Okay, it's like application specific configuration file. So same like that for my server also I need to have a configuration file called package.json. How you create this package.json is npm init hyphen yes is the command. Okay, so let's create it now. Open, I mean, in the server, this folder I want to open in terminal. Okay, the server folder. So let's say npm init hyphen yes. Okay, enter. So it's been created a package.json for us. You check, you got a package.json. Okay, along with that, I want to install one package called Json-server. Same like for React, we have installed Bootstrap and Axios, Rotterdam, Font Awesome like that. So this is required for server. So how we install Json-server is simple: npm install json-server. Okay, simple. So let's copy that. Go to the terminal. Not that terminal. Go to our editor terminal. The place where we have created package.json server, paste it, enter. And make sure you have internet connection because it will download JSON file from online, okay, internet. So we need to wait for this. But depend on internet speed, this works a bit faster. Okay, so I think it is installing. Come on. Okay, it's been done. Okay, so next clear screen. Yep. So we have package.json and JSON, all its libraries also installed. Now we need to create one file. So that is like a database file. So I create one new file. Name is db.json. This acts as your database. Okay. So you have to follow JSON file means JSON rules and regulations you have to follow. So it's like this. I have to maintain two kind of records. One is I have to maintain all the contacts information, and also I have to maintain the group information. For example, like colleagues, friends, family, like that group specification also there, right? That one you have to maintain. So what I do is contacts will be an array. So array of contacts I want to maintain. So in that first object, so ID something like AA, some number, something like number like this. Okay. So what are all the fields we have? First tell me. Yeah, name, photo, URL like that. So I'll just have name. So name is something Rajan. Okay. And photo URL. Just say photo. Photo is photo something. I get some this URL? Yeah. And then what else? Wait. Mobile number, email, company. Yep. Mobile number, some dummy number as of now. Mobile number, email. So email will be rajan@gmail.com. Okay, and then company title. So title is software engineer, and I need company. Company will be HCL. Okay, and lastly the group. Which group this guy belongs to? So here I just specify only ID. Okay, so ID is a sense. The group ID and group name is something different. So this is contacts data. So they just keep like this as of now. Okay, assume this is your all contacts information here. So once you have done this data, so you need to have multiple records. Okay, and also groups. For example, groups and array. So you have to specify like this ID, group ID one, and a group name, something called colleague. Okay, so colleague, family, friend, like different IDs you can mention. Okay, so instead of typing all this data, I already have db.json with me handy. Yeah, this is my gb.json data, same users object. first object, second object, third and fourth objects, and all the groups information I have. Let me copy this quickly, and I don't know, I'll share this source code, right? Um, Back to editor db.json, I replace. Okay, now check ID, name, company, email, title, mobile, photo, and group ID. So group ID 3. So when you search for a group, ID 3 is family. Okay, like this, I have all the groups, and it's not users actually, it's a contacts. Okay, fine. So you have database ready. So now how to access this and how to make the API calls, I'll tell you. Close it. Yeah, you have to access or start the server of backend API. You need to go to package.json. You need to add a start script. Okay, and you have to add some command. Okay, so what is that is Json-server space hyphen hyphen watch db.json. This is the command to make this db.json as a backend database and to watch for API calls. And also one more thing is this JSON server runs on a port number 3000, but our React.js also runs on already 3000. So there will be a conflict, like no two applications can run on the same port number. So what I do is I can add extra configuration hyphen p 9000. It means what happened? JSON server starts on 9000. This is already 3000, so no conflict. So client application 3000, server application 9000. Okay, that's all JSON configuration setup. Now let's start the server. So I go to the server folder. So how you start is simply start script. Okay, how you are starting React same way, npm start. So this execute a start script, this one. So just say npm start. See, your application has started on this particular address. So when I copy this address, I back to the browser, I'll paste it, enter. See, localhost 9000 has come with a nice UI page, JSON server. Congratulations. And you have two resources, contacts and groups, because we have a two categorization, right, in the db.json. Okay, I mean in the db.json we have two categorization, contacts information and groups information. So that's where they have given automatically. When I click on contacts, see, all your list of contacts has been displayed. The same thing will happen when you have a API call to the backend API. Okay, server API using Node.js backend or Java Spring application. So when you make the call, you get data like this JSON data. Same thing happens with JSON server in a lightweight. Okay, so slash contacts, you get all the contacts. Okay, you can even test this API. Okay, before I test, let me search for groups also. You get groups data also. Okay, okay. So now how we test the backend data? Let me test this backend data using Insomnia software. Some people use Postman. I regularly use Insomnia. Both are almost same for testing the backend API. So our server is up and running. So let me test that here. Insomnia, come on. Okay. So meanwhile, APIs. So what are all the APIs can be called? Okay. So I'll tell you. So you want to get all contacts. If you want to get all the contacts, you have to specify this path. Get request to this path. You have to send a get request to this path. You get all the contacts. Okay. So get a single contact. This is regular REST API information. So get request to this path slash ID. Okay, ID of the contact. Okay, I'll show you now. So Insomnia has opened. I create a new request collection, that is contact manager. Yeah, so let's create a first request, get all contacts. Okay, get request you can select over here and create. You got a get request. So the path will be, as I said, this one. So I copy the path. Once again, language I change to HTML. Yeah, so it's bold text. Okay. I'll paste the path, click on send. See, you get the data, correct? So I'm getting all the contacts information. Okay. I need to make another request, get a single contact. Okay. So you want to get a single contact. What you have to do is same path slash the ID of a contact. For example, if you want to get only the Brad, so you copy this ID and go to single, paste the ID. So contact slash ID, that's what I have mentioned here. Okay. And then send. So you get the particular ID data. Okay, like that. You can even update delete also happens. I'll give you the updates delete also. So this is, so create a contact. If you want to create a contact, this will be post request to all contacts. So it will automatically create ID also for us. Okay, and if you want to update a contact, this will be put request. Okay, put request with ID because particular contact I want to update. And then for delete a contact, so it will be delete request to this path id must be required for update, delete and single record. So contact is contacts, I mean for create contact, get contact. So get, post, put and delete, these are like code operations with API. Okay, and same thing also happens for groups. You want to create a new group and all this, or instead of contacts you have a groups. Okay, simple. So we have tested our backend and it's working. So now it's time to make Backend API call from the React application and get this real data and configure to our design. So let's see that. All right. So now let's create a services for connecting the Backend API. Okay. Now what I do is, yeah, in services I create a file called something called contact service. Okay. So I'll say export class contact service. I'll just take a contact class. Okay. And in this we need to mention the server URL and also the functions for fetching data from server. Okay, so let's make a server URL. So we know the server URL is up to here, contact. So static server URL is equal to, and this one, okay, server URL, that's 9000, no slash. Okay, and let's import Axios because I will be using Axios for fetching data from server. So Axios, and here I say static get all contacts. Okay, it's a function. So what it does is let's data URL is equal to, I want to provide a this dot server URL slash contacts. Okay, this will be the all contacts data URL. Okay, server URL up to 9000 slash contacts. Okay, and this will be of what, get request. So I'll do thing is return Axios dot get. Okay, and then data URL. That's it, simple. So I have a data URL and it returns Axios dot get. So this is my service. So I have to call this service from my component because I have to get all this contacts information from server to display over here. So this will be a contact list component. Now go to components, contacts and contact list component. Yep, here. So I have to call it. So before I call, let's have a default state. Let some array is equal to use state. I'll be using use state hook for maintain the state of my component. Import from React. Okay. So what type of data? So first I'll say state and set state. Okay. So I have three records: loading, loading false, and loading. Sorry, no comma. Loading false and contacts will be empty array, and then error message is just empty. So this loading flag I need for displaying the loading filter. Okay, if something when fetching data from server, if something delay happens, I want to show up the loading flag. Okay, skip loading the spinner. Okay, for that reason I have a loading and actual data, and this is for to catch the error. Okay, and then I'll use effect hook for fetching backend data and comma empty array. So let's import use effects here. So here I have to fetch data from server. So I just need to call this particular function. So you can use either promise based call or else async await call. So I'll use async await. Let's make this function as async. I say try catch. Let's have error. Okay. So in the try, I'll say let response is equal to await wait for the server. So what is that? Contact service dot get all contacts. Okay. So wait for the response from this function. So this function has written a promise by calling this backend API call. Okay, you get the response. So if you want to see what is that exact response has come from server, console.log of response dot data as of now. Okay, we know the response because we already tested here. All contacts, you got all the contacts. So this must be come with our React application call as well. So I made a call. I printed in the console log when the page is loaded the contact list. So let's go here, refresh, and let's inspect. Go to console window. Yeah, see you got an array of 4 records. If I expand, yes, the Brad Gibson, Glenna, and all the names has come. Okay, Brad Gibson, Glenna, and all the four records has come. Okay, super. So you got all the person's data from a backend API from React. Okay, perfect. So this data has received over here, but this data I want to add to my state. So what would I do is set state, set state here dot state existing state variables where loading. I'll do one thing before I make a request. Set state dot state, and then loading becomes true. It means before you send a request to server, loading starts. As soon as you receive data, loader stops. Okay, so here loading becomes false. So as soon as you receive data, before you show up data, you should stop the spinner, right? For this false. Okay, and then contacts will be response dot data. That's your array. Okay, I assign now. If something goes wrong, if some error occurs, so I'll say set state where dot state. Let's make loading false again because if error occurs, also stop the spinner. And error message will be just say error dot message. If something goes wrong, you get this error message as well. Okay, fine. So I have a data here. I want to showcase that. So I can destructure it from the state. Okay, so I need to have what loading required, contacts required, error message required. Okay, so this contacts you have to loop through and display. So can I have a pre-tag once because just to showcase your data. So JSON dot stringify of contacts. So you can see that actual data on UI. Just pre-tag just for time being. So I can see the data. See the actual data has come from server is this one ID and all. Okay. So this particular data I have to display. I mean connect with these cards. Okay. You have to loop through. So before I do that, before I do the looping, I need to have a spinner. Okay. Let's have a spinner for loading. Okay. Loader. So how to make that is I need to have a spinner image also. You can search online somewhere like spinner JF. Yeah, these are a lot of spinners has come. You can choose any of the spinners like nice, you know, not that one. Yeah, this type of spinners you can download. I already have one spinner that is this loading spinner. So let me copy that I'll keep it in we don't have any local image, right? But where do I keep my local image? Yeah, I'll create a folder called assets. Any local assets, you can create a folder called assets. In that I have image folder. In that I'll paste my image. Okay, loading GF image is there. Yeah, this is loading GF image. Okay, so to display this loading GF, what should I do is in the components contacts navbar, I create another folder called spinner. Okay, and I create a spinner component for displaying the spinner. Okay, spinner. So import React from React. Okay, just regular component only, but it display only spinner. Okay, so import let spinner is equal to a function. Come on, a spinner. So it returns something that is react.fragment again. Let's say export default spinner. Okay, so let's add some heading h2 spinner. So I have to showcase this anywhere else, somewhere. I have to show this somewhere here. Can we display above the navbar just for time being? Okay, because we are not finished it, right? So what I do is I go to app.js. Before navbar, I'll configure just for timing. Okay, this is not actual configuration. Spinner, I have to see how loading looks like. Okay, spinner I have configured above the navbar. So I got a spinner, but I need to have an image here. So what to do? Let me import the local image, spinner image from dollar slash assets image loading GL. So that is a local image. So I'll say one division image tag src will be my spinner image. Okay, nice. So you get the loading spinner, but it's not this much bigger we want. So mm, let's say the class name will be display block and margin auto. It comes at the center, but not this much bigger. Let's say the width and height of it. I'll just say style directly. Style width is some 200 pixels. Okay. Yeah, I think this much loading spinner is fine. Okay. So now we are done with the loading spinner, but I don't want to display loading spinner always on my screen when something, getting data from server, then only display. So conditionally, I'll display this component, not all the time. So once it is finalized, you can remove it. We don't need always. We only need when something receiving from the server. Okay. So fine. So spinner ready. Back to contact list. Yeah. Here I have two cards, but only one card to be repeated. So I delete one. So this is column D6, no? Not that one. I think yeah, here. So you have one column D6, another column D6. So I'll delete one extra card. You have one card. So this card to be repeated with this data. So what I do is um, I need to check first. Okay, let me check the loading. So if loading is there, then display the spinner. If loading happens, then display spinner. Otherwise, react.fragment. So here you need to supposed to display data. So I'll just cut this entire section, keep it in this React fragment. Okay. If loading happens, only spinner will display. Otherwise, data will display. Okay. Fine. See, you refresh. See, you get the spinner and like that. Okay. Next, column D6. Each column D6 to be repeated. I mean, this card to be repeated, right? So this column D6. So here I'll make a repetition logic. I mean looping logic. So users, not users, the contacts. Contacts dot length is greater than 0 and contacts dot map each contact I loop through, so it returns something. So what is that something is my column d6. I'll cut this entire column d6. I'll add in the repetition. Okay, you check contacts.length. I just check the length should be more than 0. Then you have to loop through and display each contact. So how many records has come earlier? You have 4 records. So 4 records loop through. So let's check. See, you get the 4 cards. Okay, but all are with dummy data, static data, because we hard code data will change now. But before doing, I need to have some space between these cards, right? For the card, I'll say margin top and bottom 2. Okay, that looks good. Yep. So it's fine, but remember when you loop, the first element should have a key. It is contact.id because every contact is having a ID. Okay, see, you get the spinner as well, right? Yeah, and then image. So I need this one to be, where is our db.json? In server db.json, this is your data. So see, we have id and photo. So it will be what? Contact dot photo. So if I say photo, you get, see, all different photos. Okay, so I think that's fine. Next what you have, name, mobile number and all. So name, I'll say I guess contact dot name. So you get the name has changed for everybody, and mobile number contact dot mobile phone mobile. Yep. So contact dot mobile. So mobile number has changed for everybody. Okay. And the email, contact dot email. Yep. So you got different images and different data. That's fine. Perfect. And I don't need to display this anymore. So I can remove the pre-tag. It's just for testing purpose, not required now. Okay, perfect. So now you have a data coming from server. So this page is perfectly done with the real data. And the next step is I want to view contact, right? When I click on this button, I have to show the actual contact, not this dummy contact. So what should I do is, see, this is all the list of contacts. Now you want to see one contact. What you do, you have to make a request by passing an ID. Okay, so let's make this part now. So all right, what you do is I have to get the ID and then make it. So let's make this link first. Okay, so where is that button? In the contact list you have a button, right? Yes, here, contact slash view slash contact ID. So I'll provide dynamic ID, something like this. So contact dot ID. Okay, so when this ID pass, it will showcase in the URL. So now let's refresh. See, for this person Brad, when I click on view contact, see, view slash Brad ID has come. Okay, so when I click on Glenda, that ID has come. Okay, perfect. Now I have to read this ID, send to server, get data, display. So send to server is you have to write a service. So I go to contact service. Let's make another function for fetching single record. Static get contact, simple. So what this function does is it will take the contact ID to pass on to server. Okay, so let's data URL is equal to, I'll say my this dot server URL slash contacts slash ID. That's my contact ID. Okay, so returns Axios dot get request to data URL. Okay, you must provide a ID and that receive from the function. Okay, because same thing, right? So get single contact, you pass an ID, you get the particular contact. The same thing happens for us now. Okay, what happened? Yeah. So we are done with this. Now back to which one? Which back to view contact. Yeah. Here I need to get this. I need to receive this ID and send to server fetching data. So how you receive this ID from the parameter? We have to use the React router DOM, that is use param. So I'll say use params. Okay. So here, how you access the param is let something is equal to use params, the parameter. What is the parameter we pass? Contact.id. Okay, and when you see the actual configuration, it is contact ID. Okay, so this contact ID only receive at view contact ID. Okay, so make sure what is that you added. You added ID, you receive ID. Okay, but I have given what contact capital ID, uh, capital ID. So the same thing I receive through parameter here, contact ID. You want to see really what is contact ID? Just say h2 expression contact ID. You see what is that received. See the same one ID. So for example, you search for some other person, the same ID has been received. Okay, simple. Same ID has been received. Okay, so I have an ID. So send to server fetching the particular record. Okay, so what you do? I don't need to print it now. So first I'll maintain my state. Let something use state. Okay, in this again loading will be false, but I have to import. Okay, loading will be false. Just user, not user. It's a single contact object will be empty object and error message empty string. Okay, so this will be my state and set state. Okay, so how you receive data? Use effect hook. I have to import it from React, and here you have a function. So it makes call for every contact ID. So I'll make contact ID as a dependent. Okay. So now what you do? I use async await again. So async. So let's say try catch. I have error. So here what I do is let response from server is equal to await contact service dot get a single contact by providing what contact ID. This is my contact ID I receive from the URL. I pass on to this server. Okay, so that I receive the response. You want to see the response? Just say console.log of response dot data. Okay, so let's check. So here when I click on Brad, see I am looking for Brad. Okay, this must be Brad data. So when you go to console window, you got an object. It's Brad data. Okay, Brad data has come. Okay, so this Brad data set to the state and display. Mm, yeah, this one set to state. Before I set to state, I'll say set state for loading flag. Uh, I need to say here dot state and then loading becomes true. Okay, before I send a request to server, loading spinner to be started and then set state. Here I say um, dot state and loading becomes false, stop the spinner, and then the contact data will be response dot data, the object I assign to the state. Okay, and what about error message? Same like the previous. Set state where you have dot state and loading becomes false, and then error message will be just say error dot message. Okay, so now you have all the three records. Let's fetch them using this structure. Let something is equal to state What I do is loading here and contact and error message. Okay, so loading contact error message, that's all fine, and let's make this data according to that condition. So I'll say here loading. If loading is there, display the spinner. Otherwise, just say react dot fragment. Yeah, here I have to loop through it and display this entire data. Let's cut it and keep it here. Okay, inside the condition. Yep. Okay. But in this, I have to check the the actual contact object is empty or not. So how you check an object is empty? Because this user object data is there or not, you have to know, right? Contact object data. Um, how you check an object is empty or not is, can I do like this? Okay, for the whole section, I'll cut it again. I'll make another condition. Just say object dot keys of contact object dot length is greater than 0. All the keys length. Okay, if not empty, and you display the section. Okay, if this works, then you display the section. Yeah, here I have to display. I have to display the picture and data. Picture will be what? Our contact object dot photo. Okay, see I got that person photo. You want to see now? See this person, Vladin. Vladin photo has come, and Brad photo has come, and Glenn. Yeah, and name details. So name simple. They say contact dot name. This will be contact dot mobile. Okay, and email. Dynamic data contact dot email and company. Yeah, this will be contact dot company and title. This will be contact dot title and the group is contact dot group id as of now. Actual group should come, but I just make group id as of now. Okay, because in db.json we have a group id, that's id as of now. Okay, yeah, so group 2 has come, Glendella Kim back. So my name, group 6, this person and this person. Perfect. Okay, you also have nice spinner everywhere. Yeah, so we finish with displaying all the records, and also view record is fine. But one thing pending here is I have to display the group name actually, because group 3 should not come like a number. It should come with the family. Okay, 3 is family, 2 is friend, so that actual name should come. So for that you have to what you have to make a service call where you have to change something. Okay, so let's make that part, and then we'll also start with a create new contact. All right, so now let's display the group name. So for this what I do is I go to contact service. So let's make for groups, so static get group, let groups. We want to get all the groups, so let's data url is equal to backtick. Okay, so here what you have to do is the same URL, but extra you say is groups. Okay, and return Axios dot get data URL. So what happens is when you make this URL, I show you. If you want to get all the groups, see here, get all groups. Okay, so let's say the server URL slash groups. So you get all the groups data as an array. So that's what this one. But if you want to get the particular group, okay, you have to provide a group ID. And where is the group ID? That is there in the contact group ID. So how you pass it? I'll say static get group, single group. So but I have to pass on group ID. But how you get group ID from the contact? So I'll do one thing. I'll take the contact object. Okay, so let group ID. So group ID is equal to contact object dot group ID. Okay, so from contact object you get the group ID. Okay, the group ID which we wanted, and pass group ID to the URL. So let's data URL will be groups slash the group ID. Perfect. So now let's run with the data. Okay, so how does this works for a particular group ID is, see here, same thing, get all groups is there now. So here I pass slash 1, you get colleague. If I say slash 2, you get friend, like that. So this object you get, from there you get a proper data. Instead of ID you get this. Okay. So get group has come, but I have to call this function by passing on contact object. I have to call this function from my view contact. So what I do is, first let me change here group name. This is a group object, empty object. Okay, I'll just have a group object also. So how you get the group data? So can I do one thing? Response contact ID is there, right? So okay, so response the data is contact object, right? Yeah. So let's group response is equal to await contact service dot get group ID. Okay, get group, you have to provide contact object. Where is the contact object? That is response dot data. The response dot data is contact object, right? That's what you're assigning. So that I'm passing for this function so that I get the group data also. So that I want to assign to my group will be group response dot data, because every time you say dot data. Okay, so this will be what? The group object. In that dot name you have to specify. Okay, so group is an object. Now what you do, along with this I also have a group to receive. Okay, and here you are only checking the contact length, and also let's check the group length because group should not be empty. So keys of group dot length is greater than 0, and okay, so now group also has check. Now where do I display group? Not group ID, just simply just say group dot name. Okay, so I check, yeah, family, back. So when I say Brad is a family member, Glenn is a friend, and Vladin is a service person, and this guy is a social media guy. Okay, fine. So perfect, we are able to display the actual group name instead of ID. That's fine. So two things done. List is done, view is done. Okay, next part, create. When I click on create, you must be able to create a new contact over here. So as of now 4, you have to create a new one. Okay, so let's see how you create. Come on. So how you create a new contact? So click on new, you have this one. So you have to bind this form data and then make it. So what I do is I will go to add contact. Yeah, here let's maintain all the state first. So how you make the state first? Let something is equal to use state. In this I have to import state and set state. Yeah, what are all things required here? So first loading will be false, and the contact object to be empty. Okay, this contact object, and also you have one drop down. Okay, so what is this drop down is, we already have in database list of groups, right? For example, in backend you have, not this one, you have all the groups like colleague, friend, family from database, right? So these particular data I have to showcase in my drop down. Okay, I have to maintain this state as well. So contact object and also let's say groups, available groups is also an array. So array of, array of groups, right? It's an array. Yeah, groups. Uh, Error message. Okay. But in contact object, what are all the fields you have? Name, photo, URL and all. And you must have to take exactly the same name as your db.json. The same names you have to take. ID don't take. ID comes automatic by Json-server. Only these fields: name, company, email, title, and all. So let's quickly add. I'll say name is empty. What else? Photo, and then mobile, mobile, email, and company, and title, and what else? Group ID also should be there. Okay, fine. So this data and this particular state I have to showcase also, just for time being. JSON dot stringify of state dot contact. Empty as of now because nothing has been loaded. Okay, so let's make the binding first. Okay, how you make the binding? For binding, I'll make a function. So let update input is equal to a function. Okay, so here I'll take up event. Okay, so I have to set state with the data. So in this, I have to make all the state data. In that, the contact object will be having something where you have to copy all the existing properties. State dot contact object, and then each property. So I'll say event dot target dot name, and this will be event dot target dot its value. Okay, because all the text fields you have value. If you have something called checkbox or radio button, you need to have checked like its value. Okay, so function is ready, state is ready, so let's bind it. So I start with a name. uh, name will be name, the exact name which you have to specify from this, because I have specified target.name to make a property dynamic name. And value will be what? I don't want to say always state dot something. Can I destructure it? Let something is equal to state. So what are all the things I have to get from state is loading is required, and contact required, and groups required, and RMS required. Okay, destructure, and then state not state, contact dot name. Okay, on change. So on change, just update input is a function that will take care about the binding of your state. So let's check. I refresh. So when I'm typing name, see this is my existing state. Okay, I have to check. Yes, name is getting updated in my state. Same like photo and all you have to make. So uh, that's fine. But one more thing is I'll make required is true, because we are not applying any form validation. So I just need to have at least you know HTML5 default validation for this. So required true. So if I create, so you get this, fill out the field. Okay, okay, fine. So let's make the same step for all. This is for photo URL. So this will be photo. Make sure you type the name properly. Photo, and mobile number, mobile, and this is also mobile name. And for email, and this is also email. Next company, and this is also company. Next uh, title, and this is also title. What else for select box? Select box also, this is I guess group ID, and then it is group ID. Okay, fine. Yeah, let's refresh. So let's check. Name is working, URL is working, mobile number is also working, a number, email is working, company title and group ID as of now nothing is there, just empty. Okay, so everything is there but except group ID, because I have to display all the groups and verify is it binding the actual group ID or not. But how you get all the groups? How you get all the groups is you have to write use effect. Okay, so use effect. Let's import from React. So it's been imported. Okay, so in this I say okay. So let's use async await again. Async try catch of error. Okay, so now I say let response is equal to await contact service dot get all the groups. Get groups, all the groups to specify. You get all the groups information. If you want to confirm, let's say console dot log of response dot data on console. So let's check. When I refresh, go to inspect console, you got array of 6, you got all the groups. Okay, so these groups I have to display at this select box. What to do is I have to set it to state first. So set state, and also before you make this thing, can you make loading as well? Dot 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 state and loading becomes true. Okay, and here dot 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 state and loading becomes false after loading, and the groups will be response dot data. Okay, so this groups information you need to display here. So what I do is back to the groups. Yeah, here options. There is an empty option, along with that more options. So I'll make expression here. So groups dot length is greater than 0. Then I have to make a map. So groups dot map, in this each group you will write an option tag. Okay, write like this, return something. You have option tag. Okay, so this must have an ID, that is every group is have an ID, group dot ID. Okay, and what value to display? Value to display is group dot name. Okay, I mean the display message. So I refresh. See, I get all the groups from database, colleague, friend, and all. But problem is, see, group ID has been changed to service. Group ID should be number, right? Okay, group ID. Let's make a value field. Value is group dot ID. Okay, the moment you select a value, but it will take internally ID to match in the backend. So make sure you write the value as a group ID. So I just check now again, empty. So when I select colleague is 1, service is 4, social is 6, like that. So perfect, it's been done, and binding we already seen. Okay, so once it is done, you have to click on create to make the contact creation. So when I click on form submit, what to do? So for this form, where is the form, dude? Yeah, here is a form. So I don't need this to display anymore. This random text not required. Look at delete the pretext. Okay. So now for form, I'll say on submit. Let's say submit form something like this function. Copy. So I will create submit form here. Let's some submit form is equal to a function. So here you receive the event. So event dot prevent uh, prevent default. Okay, so now I have to call a service to create a contact. So how we call a service? You don't have a service, right? Okay, let's create a service. Static create contact. So you must provide the contact object to create. Okay, so as per our URLs configuration, where was our URLs configuration? Yeah, create contact. Just make the URL slash contacts. That's it. No ID, just contacts, and it will be a post request. Okay, so let data URL is the same. Okay, so let's say return Axios dot post request. Okay, post contact data URL con and contact object. So the contact object which you filled from the form and I'm sending to server. So post is for creation and the particular data URL and contact to pass. Okay, so function ready. So let's call up. Call from add contact. Okay, so what you do is can we write again async await async try catch. Okay, yep. So in the try let response is equal to await contact service dot create contact. I have to provide a contact object from the state, but this structure is here. Okay, I'll say state dot contact. Okay, from state dot contact object I'm sending to server. I'll receive the response. So if I get the successful response, what to do? If I don't get the successful response, what to do? Yeah, if I get the successful response, I have to navigate to where I have to navigate to this page. Okay, contact slash list page. So how you make the navigation from React Router 6 is there is one hook called use navigate. Okay, use navigate. Previously we were using use history. Now from React Router DOM 6 it's a use navigate. So I'll say let navigate is equal to use navigate. Okay, yeah, you have to use this navigate here. So if response is there, if successful response come from server, so navigate dot nothing, not navigate, just say directly navigate to where, navigate to this one contact list comma something like something you need to add here extra property. One second, let me search for online. I guess it will be um, this one, React router DOM. You go with documentation. One extra property is there. Come on. I think it's not loading properly. React router read the docs. Yep. In this, there is no API reference. Yeah, API reference. You search for use navigate. Use navigate. Yeah, navigate to path and replace true. Okay. So let's make the same as here. Yeah, path and replace true. Oh, if something goes wrong, then I will navigate to where. First, you set the state with an error. Okay, and then navigate to contact slash add, same location. Okay, contact slash add, because don't go anywhere. If something goes wrong, stay there only, and it will be false. Okay, for error it is false. Okay, so I hope it's done. Submit form. So it will make a request to create. If successful, redirect back to the page on that this page with newly contact. Okay, super. So let me try that. So we have this four. Now let's say new contact, something called Rajan. Photo URL. Let me get it from online. Some nice photo for Rajan is something. This guy. Okay. Uh, yeah, something like this. This guy. Okay. So right click, copy image address. I'll paste it. I should display the image also. Update it is there, but create is not there. We can make no problem. Yeah, number 9090 something, and email rajan@gmail.com, and company HCL Technologies as usual. Title software engineer. Group is colleague. Okay, HCL Technologies software engineer colleague, and click on create. What happens? It will make create request and redirect to. I repeat, create request, redirect to list page. So click on create. Yes, perfect, super. See, it's done. And how many times you send a request, you have data. Okay, even if you refresh, you have data because it's coming from db.json. And if you want to confirm again, actually this data coming from db.json, you can check your database. For us, it is db.json. You check, a new record has been added called Rajan, and with some ID, automatic generated. Okay, because while creating, we don't have ID. Okay, it creates automatic, and we also have form validations. Okay, fine. So create is done. So we got a new record. So next step is update and delete. Okay, and lastly search. So let's make update now. All right. So now let's make update functionality. So what I do is, so the moment I click on this update. So generally for create and update, there's a slight difference because when you click on create, you have an empty fields. Okay, but when I click on update, it will be with the existing record, so that on top of it you will update. Okay, so first you have to get the existing record and display in a form data, and then you update on top of it. Okay, so what I do is, first of all, back to contact list. Yeah, here in this button, the moment I click on edit, it must go with the contact ID, the actual contact ID. So I'll make contact.id. So edit slash contact ID. So what happens is, see for Brad, when I click on it, so edit slash Brad ID. So I have to get the Brad details and display over here. So what I do is I go to again, which one? I go to edit contact. Yeah, here. Same like create contact, you also have a state here. Let's import it, and then I have, let's say state and set state, and here I have um, loading yes, loading false, and contact object will be an empty object. Okay, and groups, yes, I have to mention the groups, an array of groups, and error message is string. Okay, so before I proceed with all this, first I have to receive this particular ID. Okay, so how you receive the ID? Same like previous, use params. Okay, so let something is equal to use params. Okay, so what is the name has configured for it is same contact ID. So you will be receiving the uh, contact ID from there. Okay, so using this contact ID, I should get the particular contact and display. Okay, so now I will use effect hook. Okay, use effect hook, and for dependence on contact ID. Yeah, so let's import it from React. Okay, so now here I use again, async await, async try catch. Let's say error. Okay, so what I say is let response is equal to await contact service dot get a particular contact by providing the contact ID. Okay, so you get the contact in the response. So you can even print it, or you can just add directly the contact objects. So before I make this, so set state of what? Set state of dot 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 state, and what else? Loading becomes false first of all, and then set state where dot 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 state, and loading becomes, sorry, it's true here, and here is false. Loading is false, and yep, loading is false, and then let's add a contact object will be my response dot data, and if something goes wrong, set state with I have dot 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 state, and loading becomes false. Okay, stop the spinner, and error message will be error dot message. Okay, and let me fetch this individual data, and also let's have contact with form data, right? Name, photo, and all. So let's have a name is empty, name, photo, and what else? Mobile data is empty, and email is empty. Company title, group ID, company title, and the group ID. Okay, fine. So now you set the contact. So let me uh, fetch them from the state using the structure. So loading is required, contact object is required, and groups required, and error message is required. Okay. So if you want to see this actual contact object, so you can make a pre-tag. So time being, I'll write JSON dot stringify of contact object. So you see whose contact has come? Brad. So for example, if I want to update for Glenn, sorry, not view, update. Yeah, Glenn has come. Okay, so this this particular data, uh, it should be filled in this form details, right? Predefined. So what I do is here I'll add a value contact dot name. So name gets filled in here, Glenn. So when I go with Brad, you have Brad. Okay. I have to fill in all the details, and also when I make some update, say it's not updating your state. Okay. So to make an update, so I want to have a form updation. So let update input is equal to a function. Okay. So in this you have to set state, or you get the event here. Okay. Set state where dot 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 state, and contact object will be an object where dot 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 state dot contact, and then you say event dot target dot name will be event dot target dot value. Okay, so this is a function for updating the filled in data in the form with your state. Okay, so now what I do is here I'll make the name field to be name only, same as the property which you declare in the state, and on change will be update input. Okay, and let's also make the required to be true. Okay, required to be true. Fine, so let's check. I refresh. Yeah, Brad Gibson, and when I'm trying to change it, yes, it's getting updated. The state is getting updated, and you change the Brad to something else. Okay, perfect. So same approach you apply for all. So let's copy the four fields now. Go to photo URL. So this will be a photo, and this will be a photo, and then this is mobile, and here is mobile, and This is email, and here also email. Next, this is company, and here also company, and title. So here is title, and this is also title, and lastly, yeah, group. Form also I'll add like this. This is group ID, and this is group ID. Okay, and what about all options? You can loop through. Groups dot length is greater than 0, and so groups dot map. So in this each group is comes with return statement. In this each option with some key, it's a group dot id, and value goes to be group dot id, and actual value to display is group dot name. Come on, name. Okay, so what happens here? Refresh. Yeah, Brad has come, YouTuber, and the groups. Okay, it's not showing all the groups. Problem is, mm, oh, you didn't have groups actually. See, when you fetch data, you only have a contacts data. Where is the groups data? So groups data for service, we have a function called get groups. You just get all the groups. Okay, so edit contact. So I'll say here let group response is equal to await contact service dot get all the groups, get groups or get all groups. So you get all the groups and you set it, comma, groups will be response, no, group response dot data, so that you get all the groups. Okay, so now you check, refresh. Yes, you get the family. Okay, default. So when I search for um, Glenn is a friend, right? So when I click on update Glenn as a friend, automatic. Okay, that's fine. So we have it and it's getting updated, like company and everything, and mobile number is getting updated. And what about the photo? Can I try some change something for a photo? Yeah, let's change to something else. Copy image address. I will replace this guy with this. It's not getting changed. It's getting changed, but this is hardcode data. I show you somewhere at the bottom. Yeah, this image is hardcode data. So I'll change this to what? State, not state directly, contact object dot photo. Okay, it updates. Yeah, existing is this photo. I'll show from scratch. Yeah, Glenn is this photo. You want to update? Just copy the address and you want to change it. This one. This is updated in the local state. Okay. So local state is getting updated, and one last thing I want to check is group ID. So if I change the colleague, group ID 1, friend group ID 2, social group ID 6, yeah, perfect. So now we are able to change the local state. Now this state to be sent to the server for updation. When you click on a update button, okay, and also this is no more required. The pre-tag, you can delete the pre-tag. Okay, so now click on update. Is a function call. I mean form submission. So on submit is equal to form. This is something called submit form. Okay, so copy that. So go to here. So let's submit form is equal to a function. So in this you will get the event. So what I do is event dot prevent default. Okay, event dot prevent default, and then I have to submit the form data. So how will you submit? You have to call service. But service, there is nothing, a function called update. Okay, let's make it static update contact is a contact data URL is this one. Yeah, I show right. For contact update, you have to provide ID as well as the contact object. So ID I'm providing here. So you need to provide the contact object and the contact ID. Yeah, the contact object is a sense the form data which you are trying to update, and contact ID for which person you are updating this data. ID is also here. So ID I provide in the URL, and form data I provide with function call return Axios dot put request. It's a put, updation is put, okay, because we made it right. Put, so put data URL first and then the contact object, the one which you want to update. Okay, that's all. It will take care of in the backend JSON server. So I have to call this function. So I think it's everything is correct. Okay, fine. Let's call back to edit contact. Yeah, here I can make it as async. Same like create contact. What you have done for create contact, I mean add contact. Yeah, this was done. Copy back to edit contact. Also paste it. Okay. Yeah, what is that you have to do is it's not create contact. It is update contact. Okay. Contact object is there, but I also need contact ID. So I think contact ID is directly you can provide because the ID which you already brought from the URL is contact ID. So I send two parameters for update two parameters. Okay, so contact ID. Fine. Now we don't have navigate. If response is successful, I have to navigate back to the home page, but it was not there. So let's have use navigate, and let's say let navigate is equal to use navigate. Okay, I got the navigation. So I can say if response is there and I navigate back to the list, you can just say list or empty slash also, because if I write empty slash, it will navigate to list only. Okay, that's why you say either navigate to list or empty slash, both works. Okay, don't worry. Just keep it as it is. To list, otherwise back to what? Add, not add. It is edit. Okay, if some problem happens, edit with contact ID, right? So let's make some backtick. I think it's backtick, yeah. So edit slash ID, because the proper path of this will be what? Edit slash the ID. So I just make edit slash ID. So the same page will be there if something goes wrong. Okay. So I hope that's fine. Let's check now. Okay. And also we are not using a loading anywhere. Not using this loading, is it? Mm, okay. If you want to have a loading, you can write directly here only. If loading, then display the spinner. Okay. Otherwise, sorry, react.fragments. In this you make a section and all. But in this also, if you have a contact object, you display. Otherwise, there will be a problem. Actually, no problem because contact already there in the state, right? Yeah, let's make this entire section to cut off. Keep it in this. This was display a spinner. Okay, looks good. Here also you get a spinner, right? Okay, so fine. Now let's examine this. So Glenn, I'll change the number, not 8787 something. I'll change the number to 888-999-00999-1, something like that. And image also I'll change. Copy image address. I will change this image. Update. Yes, image change. Mobile number change. Okay. So it is done, and you want to change again back to back to something like this. Okay, copy image address. I will change it to something like this. Update. Yes, it's been updated. Okay, so fine. So we done three things now. List is done, creation is done, view is done, and also edit is done. Okay, so last thing, delete. So when I click on delete, I should delete this record from the whole data. Okay, so delete, you have to call a function on this URL. Okay, let's start with the delete now. So for delete, what you do is, let's go to contact service. Let's make another one static delete contact. You must provide a contact ID. That's contact ID. So this is the URL, contact/contact ID, because the same URL contact ID, and delete is a function. So you have to call return Axios dot delete, and you provide data URL. That's all. Okay, contact ID and delete. Okay, so I have to call this function when I click on the button. And where is the button is on the home page, that is contact list page. So go to contact list page. So at the bottom you have a button for trash on click. So on click you have to provide a ID, because the particular ID of the contact you have to delete, right? So I say on click is equal to a function, because I have to pass on parameter. So delete, no, not just like that, just say click delete, and I provide contact dot id. Okay, so I'm passing on id for this function. So let's create and take up that id. Here I do. So let click delete is equal to a function, so that I'm passing the contact id. So let's take in the contact id. Okay, so let's say I have to call delete. Let's make async. I say try catch. Okay, so here what you do is let let response is equal to await what, await contact service dot delete contact of my contact ID. That's all. So you get a successful response for deletion. Okay, if it is deleted successfully, what you do? If it is deleted successfully, you have to refresh your data, because once it is deleted, it may delete from the backend, but I have to showcase on my UI also, like it's been removed, right? So you have to fetch data again, so that only new records will come, like update data will come. So what you do is, if response is there, then better you call the all data again. For example, like this. For example, like this. Okay. So you have to get all the records and keep it in the state. So that, see, this line, what it does, it will remove from the backend. Okay, removed it. But what it does, this will fetch the remaining data, like the data which is there, right? And set to contacts, and the same contacts I'm looping it. So that's happy. Okay, that's all fine. And if something goes wrong, you have a error message to keep on here. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Yep. So let's try for deletion. Okay, so where you want, what do you want to delete? So I delete my this name. Okay, click on delete. Has gone. See, you got only Rajan. 4 records. You can double confirm. Go to db.json. There is no Naveen. Only Rajan, Vladin, like that. Okay, fine. 4 records. Okay, so we made completely. List is there, new add, everything is done. But one thing which is left out is search. Okay, when I make a search, I can't able to search the records. Okay, so now let's start with a search. All right, so now let's start with a search. Okay, so to make a search, I'll be back to contact list again. Yeah, I'll can I create a separate search query, or I can add in the state itself? You may add in the state, or you can change. Yeah, let's take something separate. Use state. Okay, so in this Yeah, let's make some query and set query. So query text will be empty. So this text is nothing but the query what you type. Okay. Yeah, and let's bind it first. So where is my input field? Yeah, here. So let's say name is text, value is query dot text on change. You have to make a function. So let's say search contacts. Okay, search contacts is a function. So let me call that somewhere here. So let's search contacts is equal to a function. Okay, so you get the event. So first of all, you set state where sorry, not set state, it's a set query, right? Set query where dot query and text will be some event dot target dot value. There's only one field. Okay, fine. And after that, you have to query with this letter. First, let me check is it really bind or not. Expression query dot text. Is it really bind? Yeah, it's been bind. Whatever you type is getting updated in the state also. Okay. Now what to do? Now what to do is when I type a character, you filter all this data based on this name. So I can filter, but where do I keep the filtered data? Right? See, in my state I have all the contacts, right? I can take up the contacts. I can filter, but where is the filtered data to store? Can I do one thing? In the state only, along with the contacts, I have another one filtered contacts. Okay, contacts to store all the contacts. Okay, while fetching data from server. Filtered especially for search. Okay, but small change when I get data, you need to add it for filtered will be response the data again. Okay, because when fetching, filtered will be all. Okay, fine. Next, where do I have filter again? Yeah, on deletion also you need to have filtered contacts. Okay, because you need to have it for search and looping. So while looping, I was making with all the contacts, not with all the contacts. We also have filtered contacts. Can't we get it? Yeah, here. Let's say filtered contacts. So you loop through filtered contacts. Extra copy. Okay, filtered contacts. And from here, flow is same. Okay, fine. So just check. Nothing happens. Everything is perfectly running. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So looping through filtered contacts now. Yeah. So now the next step, when search happens, you loop it and set it to filter contacts because that will get update. So what you do is let's the contacts is equal to state dot contacts dot filter. In that you get the each contact. So return. So contact dot name dot to lowercase because um, some people names are like lowercase and uppercase, so all lowercase dot includes events dot target dot value dot to lowercase again. Okay, so if you type capital letter or you type the capital letter or lowercase letter, it should filter properly. Okay, that's where I convert everything to lowercase, or you can convert both to uppercase. Okay, now I got the filter data. Okay, for example, you check console.log the contacts. Okay, you can check it now. So I refresh. Let me open inspect console. Yeah, no data. When I search for BR, you got Brad. B start with only Brad. Okay. I delete A. A is 4 letters. Oh, AD, two people, Brad and Vlad. Wow, super. Fine, this filtering. Okay, but I have to showcase on UI. So set them back to filter data. How? Set state in this. I have dot state, and then filtered contacts will be the contacts. So that filtered contacts will be we were looping here, right? So I just updated to filtered contacts. I think that works. Let's check back here and refresh. See, I say A, everyone, AD, yeah, these two. Okay, ADE, one guy, BR, RA, RA. So here also Brad is having RA. RAJ is Rajan. Okay, perfect. I think that's all done. Okay, so we made a contact list, search, new, view, edit, delete, everything is perfectly done. Okay, that's all, guys. Thank you so much. And I first of all, congratulations for watching this video entirely and practicing along with me. Okay, so thank you so much and wish you all the very best for your career in React.js. And in the coming examples, we'll see some more projects on React.js. Okay, so make you familiar with React.js development. But to don't miss of these type of videos, please do subscribe to my channel right now. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.